Hello viewers, good day. You are welcome to Child and Society, the program for you that discusses about issues concerning yourselves, your family, your communities, and policies that impact on yourselves. Your regular presenter is here again. My name is Vivi Kali. With me today to discuss a very beautiful program are
Grace Umorin.
Simisola Dabiri.
That's your regular consultants who are always discussing issues on child and society that concerns yourselves. Today's program is going to be on why are children and young people unruly these days? What can we do? We're going to be discussing these issues and we're going to try and find out whether really unruliness is only common to younger people of these days, or has it been a generational issue? Is it getting worse in our modern society? What are we doing to curb this problem? Does it start from home, school, peer group, community, bad role models? Who have our young people who have to model on? We're going to find out now. As usual, important discussions now. So it's open. Simi, what do you understand by unruliness?
So unruliness,
we can talk about it.
It's variable.
Yeah.
It's like the discussion we had prior to the show starting. It's variable. It's very much about what is counted unruly in one society, like you said before,
And what is not acceptable
exactly, and what's
in
not
other
acceptable.
society.
Exactly.
I mean, we need to be specific in the terms of definition. What is acceptable in one family, which is within their cultural group, might not totally be acceptable within another community.
Totally.
Okay, maybe I need to step in here to help clear the air. As far back as before Christ, people like philosophers like Socrates says that children now love luxury, have bad manners, are contempt for authorities, show disrespect for elders, love talking, and less work. This is before Christ. So unruliness have been something that is common with human beings.
Okay.
So but is it getting worse, and what are we doing to curb it?
Therefore, that means that each generation sees the next generation as unruly.
Yeah.
Each generation sees the next generation as young people who are not adhering to the norms and values of that generation. And so therefore, is it not that we actually look at how the unruliness, in quotes, impacts on that young person's life and the family life? And also, how does it change the culture?
I mean, I will come into the expectation is that what do adults expect from young children? I mean, sometimes if I'm coming from the mental health perspective, I mean, you could have some children that who have got some organic issues and then make them to be hyperactive. And in that aspect, would you say they are being unruly? Or we haven't actually looked at this child to say, who is this child? How does this? And then we start comparing the child with another child, whereas this child has got an organic or mental health issues, which at some certain stage they're not being diagnosed if they're still too young. So we allow the natural cause takes its place before they've been labeled. And we don't want to be seen as our children being labeled to say, oh, this child is unruly. No.
Okay, let's just go back to in the family.
Okay.
As parents, we have children. We are aunties, we are uncles, yeah? We are also teachers who teach children. What we see sometimes, like my colleague was just saying, we see the symptoms. Children displaying certain behavior that are worrisome, such as, it could be a child who is throwing tantrum in the class. It could be a child who is a young person who is challenging authority at home. and then challenges authority at school. And it could be a young person who has all along challenged authorities, and now maybe working in an establishment is still challenging the authorities then.
But then, are you talking about nurture or nature then?
No, we are not even going there. So what we are now saying just yet is that there are this common behavioral problem that give concern. Young people do not respect adults these days. Young people are spending more and more time with their mates. Yeah, young people are disrespectful of authorities. So what are the causes?
Would you say that the young people are more assertive and they have confidence in within themselves in which they could question? I mean, like when we talk of young people, like some parents, they are from the second generations that they came from the native home, which wasn't more westernized. And there they have been, do what I say, but don't ask questions.
Exactly.
But our young children these days, they ask a lot of questions. Why? Because they want to learn. And when they ask questions, and then sometimes people see them as being challenging
but
and
it's not just about asking the questions, though. It's about the way the questions are asked as well. And it's about, do the second generation allow their children a bit more leeway in relation to voicing their opinions and self-determination? Because that's the whole argument, even as far back as Socrates. It's about young people seeking to self-determine and not determine according to what the last generation is doing. And so therefore, is it not therefore important for the generation who's complaining to try and understand
where
they're coming from?
Because they may be struggling within the two cultures.
Exactly.
They've got the Western culture and then they've got the parents.
Okay, I want you to please think back. You are a teacher. A child challenges you. Let's take, for example, one child. This child A, is a student, finds it difficult to accept authority in class. You get the mother into the school and you question. You say, oh, mother, this is what we are observing in the school. And mother said, yes, I observed the same thing. Yeah? But then, because of lack of facilities, this child is unable, the system have failed to assess this child, to determine what could be problem or causing the problem for this child. But this child is beginning to be labeled as
being excluded,
being a troublesome child. Yeah. Now, this child goes through primary school into secondary school without no support or anybody even identifying what could be responsible for the child's behavior. He goes into secondary school with the same problem, and the child is labeled as a child who is beyond control. Social services get involved or may not get involved. Like in Africa, in Nigeria, social services who don't even get involved. This child will now be labeled as not good enough. The child then feels, okay, I'm not good enough, and begins to act it out. And subsequently, this child finds it difficult to go through secondary education because the child believes that he or she is not good enough. They said I'm not good from primary school. That's what I wanted to think about. This child then turns out in future maybe joining gangs of school
because of the low self-esteem.
Yeah, because of the low self-esteem. Yeah. This child has grown up not to see themselves as achievers, not to see him or herself as somebody who can contribute to the economy, who can do well, pass GCSE or O-level. Okay, there are some boys and girls who hang around the school compound or on the street. This child is likely to begin to follow those groups. Think about this.
But you've given the scenario and you've given the baseline of actually saying that this child actually started out with issues and the teacher and the mother actually concluded that there is an issue. And so therefore there is a baseline to that. But for me, it is more about young people who haven't been diagnosed at all, even by a teacher or by a parent. It is about a young person who is not necessarily doing poorly in school, not necessarily doing poorly at home, but actually being extremely disrespectful of the cultural background they come from, the norms that they're supposed to respect.
So what do you think could be responsible for that? What do you think could be responsible for that?
If it's the scenario,
it's about nature.
If it's the scenario which you have just given, if it's the scenario which you have just given, it would be ideal to explore with the child and the parent.
Exactly.
This child could have been abused by the authority in which you'll expect that. So it's very good to explore, what are the causes of it. and then to start when did it actually started. Because these are things in which we are now learning and we are now being educated to understand, like there are some certain abuses that a child has been experiencing, which is not being brought to light. And
That's
we
true.
tend to put the child back to the abusers, and then the child will act out. Well, then we'll say this child is anti-authority, and this child
and we
is
label the child.
anti. And
Yeah.
it's,
I
it's
agree.
been deviant,
Yes.
and then we will label the child. But we don't actually
Take
speak
time.
to the child to say what is going on, and we believe the adults, because the adult who is the abuser tells the child, like, if you do this, you know, I will tell them, and then you will be removed. You won't
That's
see your
right.
parents. You
You
won't
won't
see
see
this.
it.
You
But the
won't
thing
see this.
about
Yeah.
it is, with the scenario that you gave, though, the scenario you gave was a baseline. You gave the scenario as this child has already been suspected of X, Y, and Z. And so therefore, having a discussion with the child, that would have happened anyway. But the whole argument about why are young people disrespectful, or why are they not adhering to authority, etc., I think that's a totally different thing, because your scenario is about lack of services.
Now, it's not only lack of services. That's why I say think further. Because at every child, yeah, we all have roles. Parents have roles
Exactly.
in nurturing a child.
Yeah.
School have primary responsibility in nurturing a child. Then the child leaves school, and then the child has peer group who will determine what the child becomes. Foundation is very important. The early formation, which is the responsibility lies with parents, is very important in this issue. That's why I'm saying that when a child is growing up, yeah, sometimes they are normal, beautiful children, good, well-behaved children. It's not every child that poses problems.
But
But
these
that's the nature of
boundaries-
nature.
Yeah, these
That's
ba-
where
nurture
that's
nature.
where you bring that in.
Yeah.
I mean, these boundaries are meant to be to be set.
Good.
And this boundary starts from home.
Exactly.
That's right.
And then we as parents, we have that responsibility when we start seeing our children acting out at certain simple
Exactly.
boundaries, for us to be able to identify and find out, is it nature,
that's
is
yeah,
it
exactly.
the environment,
Exactly.
or is it the peer group, or is it just the child itself?
Nature.
That's where we have that responsibility before the child grows up to a
Yes.
different stage.
And I think one of the things that does happen with adults is that they have they have a course in their head that this is the way to parent, this is the way to treat young people, this is the way to have a discussion. And especially like within our culture, the Nigerian culture, there's no variance on that. It's like you do. My whole argument is that if it isn't working for you as a parent or as an adult where you're communicating with this child, you don't have to rethink that. You have to rethink how you're going to communicate to this child. Because bottom line is, you want to get your message across. How you get it across is entirely up to the adult involved. You know what I mean? How you get across that your cultural norms and values are important is entirely up to how you give that message. So if you give the message of, do as I do as I say, don't do as I do, you know, and extremely a whole hypocritical kind of presentation or picture, children, especially who are growing up in this culture, will say, hello, ain't happening. So it's about what you are saying, about how you're presenting it.
Right. Now we know we've just saying the same thing actually. However, what we want to be looking at is again, I'm just thinking about a scenario of a young person.
Okay.
That person lives in a home. Parents have actually maybe overindulged in making everything available for this young person. A parent who gives, who buys, who doesn't spend time with the child to study what's going on, but showers the child with a lot of presents. And then in future, maybe when the child is about 18, 20, the parent begins to see that the child is acting anti-authority, is mingling with bad groups, and the parent says, but I did all my best. I bought everything for this child. Shall we talk about that? The implication of that.
That's nurture again, isn't it?
The viewers here, some of our viewers are not as literate. So we need to explain exactly what these things are. They do not understand nurture and nature. This is not an academic piece of work. But we need to break it down to the level of our viewers so that you viewers will understand what we are talking about when we say a parent is overindulging in giving in to the child. Giving in to your child, does that help your child? Are you being a very good parent by giving in? Or are we talking about parents who will get closer to their children to know what their needs are and support them, and then make sure that the children are occupied and gainfully engaged?
I mean, sometimes when we say overindulgement could mean different things.
Exactly.
As much as you want to show your child the love, it's very important that we get the balance. To say,
Yes.
how are we balancing
Yes.
our children and then enhancing them with social skills,
That's right.
enhancing them with communication skills, so that when they are within their peers, then they will be able to make the right choices about themselves, who they are, because their parent is very, very important as they been nurtured and as they grow. Yes. The parents could buy them a lot of nice things so that they, when they see those nice things outside, they don't go being very selfish or want to take it if it's not theirs. So haven't given them these nice things, but it's about educating them. How do they use these nice things to enhance them? And at the same time, not so much putting them in a sort of a cocoon, covering them, but at the same time exposing them to real nature of life, so that when they are being seen challenging with their peers in school, they would be able to act appropriately. And when the status in terms of authority comes in to say, oh, you're not supposed to use your mobile phone, you are not supposed to do this, then they will know the right thing, or they will not take these things outside home because there are boundaries set.
Thank you for that. Do you, can you please respond to this from a practitioner's point of view? Look,
What the whole
no,
Well, for me, okay, I'm going to explain it along the lines of nurture and nature, because that's the bottom line of it. So nurturing is how you bring your child up, what
parenting.
Values,
you're talking about parenting.
It's about parenting. It's about what values you put into your child. It's what boundaries you set, and what adults don't always understand is that children actually do like boundaries. As much as they kick against them, they feel extremely safe if you've got boundaries. If you don't create boundaries for your child, that is when the child is kind of like all over the place. So that is a nurturing. Nature is about a young person actually suffering from what you have described as some organic disability, etc., etc. That's what the nature part is about. So parents have to be clear about what they are doing when they are parenting. And from a practitioner's point of view, that's the assessment that one would carry out.
You
one
need
would
to balance both.
Yeah,
one would all the time. At every process in the child's in the start stages of growing. Those same nature and nature needs to be balanced at every point.
So invariably, what we are hearing, viewers, is that parents play an important role in socializing their children, what their children become. We're not saying you are totally responsible for the outcome if it's negative or if it's positive, but what we are saying is that you lay the foundation. As parents, you have the duty to lay foundation. It's your duty to make sure that your children have boundaries. It's your duty to make sure that your children are engaged. It's your duty to make sure that children are gaining from education. If you leave these things to the child alone, it is seen as a neglectful parenting. So in order for your child to be able to participate well and engage fully as a teenager and a young person, normally what you've put in burden the child comes to use. Go on. Next.
The other thing is, right, that
yes,
parents...
Call us if you are on the line and you want to participate. Please call in. We are waiting for you to join. Thank you.
The thing about it is, like, yes, parents may feel like...
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Thank God for this program.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying it.
Thank
All
you.
right.
As a mother,
Good.
we have a lot to do concerning our children. Even the Bible says, train your children the way they will go.
Yes.
When they grow up, they will not depart
from it.
So the main work is lying on the parents.
Yes.
If you pamper your children too much, you don't teach them anything. You don't even make them to know that you need to work before you have that money you are spending for them.
That's right.
You have got to make them to realize that not everything that you might have the money, yes. Not everything that your children will have to give to them.
Yes.
True.
Because when they come to the age of the accountability, or they won't be able to do things by themselves.
Exactly.
And if they don't have it there, they will join the wrong gang.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Because they want to spend that money the way they spent it before, so they have to find it by all means. So the whole thing is lie on the parents.
Yes.
You know, in the olden days, where we say our children are wayward. Of course, if you train your child, you know, when he's small, not when they grow up. When they are small, if you tell them what to do, they will listen to you.
That's right.
Because you are the parents. Remember, God has given you those children to train for Him. So if you don't train that child the way of the Lord, you will answer for it as a parent.
Thank you very much.
Whatever you ask your child to do, surely when they are young, they will do it.
Yes.
They will.
Even I've seen children who say, oh, I can't copy you because they don't do that in our house.
Yes.
But we see that, you know, the parents now, we almost failed God. The way we train our own children. You look at other people, you don't even care about, you know, to train your own children, you know. So,
Okay.
parents have a lot to do.
All right. Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
It's very interesting to hear you. Whilst you are there, and viewers again, you've heard this. The caller now. She's giving a good example. Just imagine now that you have a pet in your home, and a little pet. If you don't teach the pet that you need to sit down, the pet will not know how to sit down. If you don't teach the pet that this is where to go and do a wee-wee, or this is where to empty your bowels, the pet will not know. The pet will come and do it on your carpet. So you have to teach every person that is an individual. If a pet can listen and do as if he or she is told, so also children are able to learn. There is no child or young person that is a bad young person.
True.
It's only how they are raised.
Yes.
What we are saying now, as parents, we have a great role if we want to have a good society, a society where children emulate from what their parents have taught them. If you're a bad parent, or you are inexperienced parent who does not have time or create time or leave others to care for your children and raise them, then your children will be raised just like those people, not like you. Some of our affluent parents in Nigeria, they tend to leave their children in the hands of house girls. Please, if you are watching, watch carefully and listen carefully. Your children need you as much as you need them. You need to raise them to be good citizens of our communities, of our countries. Yes, if you don't, then the repercussion awaits them and yourselves. Can we come to it? Thank you.
The thing about it is like parents have to be consistent, because that's what some parents are not. So what's okay today isn't okay tomorrow. So the inconsistency causes confusion for the child. That's number one. The other thing is also is that, as I said before, if you are parenting your child and the behaviour that you're seeing isn't what you want, you change your parenting.
Yeah. And parenting is very, very important. If we have parents who are not too sure, they could always go into different groups and then learn. They will have some older parents who will be able to nurture them.
Thank you, viewers. We've come to the end of this program. I would like to thank you very much for watching and listening and participating. What we are saying now is that the crime in the society, the issues concerning young people not respecting authority, it's not just their own fault. We also have to responsibility which we have not discharged adequately. Parents, please stand up and be a parent. That's what we are saying. Thank you. Thank you, viewers, for watching, and tune in next week, the same channel and the same station.
Thank you.
Thank you.